Now, renewable energy has been a big talking point ahead of this election, so I thought we should get a couple of different points of view. So Emma Hicks is Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party candidate for the seat of Farrer. So, Emma Hicks, how do you think we should be generating power in Australia?
I am very much pro-nuclear energy. There's zero emissions, and it would drive our electricity bills down. There's a wind farm in Western Victoria called Australia Blue that's been decommissioned. They're going to basically dig a hole and put the unrecyclable blades inside them and leave the tons of concrete in the ground. Now, that's not good for the future. We can't farm that land anymore. And if we cover the land in renewables, that's what's going to happen. Whereas with nuclear energy, it has zero emissions and it'll drive the price of electricity down.
Have you seen the figures that CSIRO have come up with that show that nuclear energy is expensive and is going to take a very long time to establish in Australia?
I've not seen that, but I do know it will take a long time to establish in Australia. But look at renewables and what's going to happen in 20 years when you can no longer use those. Where are they going to place the blades that are not recyclable?
Now, on water, which is always a talking point in the seat of Farrer, your policy includes establishing a National Water Security Council. How is that going to work, and how would you see it interacting with the rest of the system?
Well, we're talking about putting water back in the hands of the farmers through putting it back in the hands of the state. So ultimately, the farmers will have control. That's really important. We're against buybacks. And we believe the farmers should have control of the water. I mean, we need the farmers to be producing what they produce, doing what they do best. We need that. We don't want to see genetically modified food come into this country.
So what about
zero nutrients?
What about water buybacks as a way to secure water for the environment?
Definitely not against water buybacks. We don't want water buybacks.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
Now, foreign ownership has been flagged as a concern for many people, and super funds have been buying heavily into the seat of Farrer, including Canadian super funds. What is your reaction to that? What would you like to see?
We won't be allowing foreign ownership. We're against that as well. We don't want foreign owners owning our land.
So if we don't allow foreign ownership of things like farm country, what impact is that going to have on the family investments of people who've got a lot of money tied up in very valuable farming country? If you remove the opportunity for them to sell to big companies, who seem to be the only one in many cases who can afford that farming country, what's that going to do to people's investments?
There's plenty of money within Australia that Australians have. There is plenty of money. Don't believe the hype that Australians are broke. Australians that do want to invest in agriculture and in farming. There is plenty of money around for Australians to do that. We don't have to go overseas to sell our land.
Now, what would you like to see in terms of housing? Because would you like to see a 5-year GST moratorium on materials for new housing and maybe a review into government charges?
Oh, absolutely. One Nation has a policy that will put a 5-year moratorium on the GST on building materials, making it much cheaper for new home buyers to build.
So then who's going to build those new houses? Because we do have a shortage of qualified trades, and it's really hard. I don't know whether you've tried to get a tradie lately or a builder. It is very hard to get anything built.
It's very difficult. Since COVID, it's just been very difficult. That was a turning point back in 2020, 2021. But that's something that we'll need to look at.
Now, you are standing for Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party. What would you say, should you're elected, what would you say your approach would be to working with the major parties?
Well, I'm obviously a conservative. When it comes down to it, if their policies align with One Nation, I'd be happy to work with them. If they don't align with One Nation, we won't be working with them.
What impact does that then have, should you be successful in the seat of Farrer, what impact would that have on the future of the residents of Farrer if you found yourself having to work with a party who you don't align with?
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, you've got people like the Greens and Michelle Millthorpe and the like that are all pro-renewables. I mean, if you're going to take money from Climate 200, you've got to expect that you've got to push the party line. If you look at Climate 200, there are donors there that they actually state if you look at the site, there's a donor there that says we only donate to Climate 200 because we know the candidates are pushing renewables. So we're against renewables. So we don't want the whole country filled up with renewables.
What's your understanding about climate change and the impact of climate change on our environment?
We don't have enough time to go into my understanding of climate change, but I will actually say that the climate's been changing for a millennia.
So you don't believe that the Industrial Revolution and all of the stuff that has gone into the atmosphere, pollution, since that time has had a significant impact on our climate?
I think we'd have to be very, let's see, the world is a big place, a very big place, and for us to think that what we do can impact it in such a big way, it's kind of silly when you think about it. There are certain things we need to look after our environment, we need to look after the oceans, we need to look after the earth. However, not everything we do is out to destroy the planet.
Emma Hicks, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Sally.
Emma Hicks is Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party candidate for the seat of